for you that don't know me, I am actually going to take myself off camera for now. But I am the manager of the Workforce Center for Goodwill in Lombard, and we are a free service to the community. We offer assistance with looking for a job, writing a resume. You can do mock interviews. We help a lot with actually applying for positions. For those that don't have a computer and you are looking for a job on your phone, it's really complicated sometimes to apply for a position on a phone. So, or if you're not computer savvy, we help individuals with that. We have hiring events. Employers come to the Workforce Center for like mini job fairs. They are in person and virtual. We have a printer, a scanner, a fax. So really any assistance that you need in your job search, we can provide it for free because people shop at Goodwill. And that the money goes to support programs, and we have our Workforce Center here in DuPage County. Although you don't have to be a resident of DuPage County, anybody could walk into our center and we're happy to help them. So if you, after the presentation, if you want to reach out to me, you want me to look at your resume or you have any follow-up questions, my contact information is here on the screen, my email address, my phone number. You could follow us on Facebook, and you could even get registered on the database Bullhorn, where you'll have access to all of the events in Illinois and Wisconsin. We do have a Workforce Center in North Riverside and Englewood as well. So today we are talking about, and also just a little housekeeping, please feel free to interrupt me if you have a question or a comment, or you can put it in the chat and Leslie could, read the comments in the chat box as well. But I want this to be interactive if possible. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask. So we're talking today about remote jobs, right? So we're going to talk about defining work from home, remote skills to be successful. We're going to survey some of the job search engines, what you need to know before you start, the interview and scams, and so on and so forth. So I guess, when I see a lot of familiar names, and I always start my workshops with the first steps, right? This is what you need to be doing first before you write your resume, before you even look for a job, is you need to survey your skills. And you need to really kind of go deep, do a deep dive on your career. You need to figure out what are your accomplishments and go back 15 to 20 years and figure out what am I proud of in all of my jobs. You need to write this all down. What are those accomplishments, the goals that you achieved, the barriers that you were able to overcome, the pats on the back, awards, whatever that is. You need to also kind of define what you enjoy and what you dread in the job. And this is really specific to remote work, because if you're a people person, are you going to be able to thrive and succeed working from home, being essentially disconnected from people? Are you, do you like public speaking? Do you hate it? Do you like numbers? Do you not like numbers? You need to figure all of that out and really reflect on what it is that you enjoyed and dreaded in all of your jobs. And again, you need to look at your work behaviors or values, behave, because that's really in the interview, the employer is asking you behavioral questions. What are your actions? Because what you've done in the past is going to how you're going to act or perform in the future and the present. So what are your behaviors? What are your values? What's important to you? Good customer service, confidentiality, teams, loyalty? What is really important to you in your career as far as the values and the behaviors? How do you handle stress? How do you handle, how do you solve problems? How do you manage conflict? How do you handle a situation when you're being yelled at by a customer, or there's a tone in the voice of the supervisor? What are your triggers? What's your emotional intelligence? How can you gauge that? What pushes your buttons? These are all things that you have to think about. And you have to go back in all of your jobs and write this down, so that you have it all fresh in your mind, ready to talk about, ready to write the resume. And then you're making a list of the skills and abilities. And this is the first step in your job search. So why is this important to what we're talking about? Well, because employers are looking for certain skills for people that they're hiring in remote positions. What employers look for in remote employees? Your organizational skills. So if you've done this list that we've just talked about and you looked at your skills and you reflected on things that you had to organize, was it events? Did you have a calendar that required a lot of flexibility and going back and forth on projects? Were you a project manager? Maybe you required a lot of callbacks to customers, or how did you manage all of this? And so this is what employers are looking for, these particular skills, to be successful in a remote or work from home environment. So emphasize this on your resume, in the application, and include the jobs or projects that you've done that have required managing many moving parts, and talk about how you were able to keep everything coordinated. Think about your communication. Keep your messages clear, concise, and correct. Especially in a remote kind of position where a lot of, information is done by email and through video chats. Communication is different. Your communication style and skill is different when you're talking to somebody face to face versus talking to somebody on the phone, or talking to somebody virtually, or even writing. These are all different communication skills. And you really need to be careful too, because the employer is looking at everything about you from the moment that you hit submit on an application. They are looking at everything that you do in that job search. When you have interactions with an employer, is being looked at very, very thoroughly. So you need to be very clear, concise in your communication, because this is going to translate into how you're going to perform remotely, or really just in general, but specifically to remote communication. Proactive. Think through the things that you've done in the past to show you're self-reliant, the self-starter. You have to be self-motivated in a remote or work from home position. It's very easy to kind of, maybe let down some of your guards. If you're maybe in your jogging pants or your pajamas because you don't really have to get dressed, you might have a more relaxed tone, a more, relaxed approach to things, which might not make you be as sharp. So, they even talk about, for example, in a phone interview, they talk about how you should present yourself in that conversation, because you're not being seen. So you want to come across in that phone interview with this, to have the, to be approachable and present, maybe have a smile on your face. And even though that person doesn't see it, they could feel it through the phone. It's the same concept when working remotely, that, even though you're not being seen, when you're talking to somebody on the phone or chit chatting or even virtually, that tone and that confidence is felt, through, the communication. So if you're not able to motivate yourself in the position, how are you going to succeed in the job? And this is really something employers are really thinking about a lot. Some employers, they're all about working from home. They realize that it saves them money. They feel like their employees are being productive, and then there's other employers that are very hesitant of it, and they don't see the value in it. They feel like, um, you know, maybe the team isn't as cohesive as it should be. And it loses, especially on projects, kind of loses, some of the enthusiasm and the camaraderie that comes with being with somebody in person in real time. And so you've got to convey that you could be proactive, that you're still going to be, the great performer that you always have been, even, in a remote position versus being, in a office with everybody. The other thing is you need to convey somehow that you're tech savvy. You are not going to have an IT person to go knock on their door. And so you have got to be comfortable managing some technical issues and not be frazzled by it. So if you can't show that self-confidence, the employer might be a little hesitant in, offering you a position. So you've got to convey, through your discussion on your resume, that you know your stuff. You don't have to be an expert, but if you're having some internet connection issues, or just having any kind of an issue, that you could kind of problem solve it. Is it the internet? Are you having issues with the computer? So some people are frazzled by that. They're really scared of technology, but you've got to convey confidence. And also, going back to the motivation, they're going to probably ask you that question: why do you want to work here? Why do you want to work for this employer? And it's a relevant question, because especially in a remote position, they want to find out, are you only taking this position because you have the luxury of working from home, or are you taking this position because you really believe in our brand and what we do? So you still have to convey that you're passionate about the brand, passionate about the customer, passionate about whatever it is, this product that they're selling. And you still have to convey that and let them know that it's not necessarily you only have to take a remote job, but that you believe in their product, because you are essentially the face of their product. And if you're not working for them for the correct reasons, they want to know that. They're going to kind of dig a little deeper to find out, why us? Why are you spending so much time filling our application? And are you going to represent us well? So these are some of the things, while you're doing your self-reflection, you need to figure out, think about your organizational skills, think about how you communicate, and which kind of is also aligned with interpersonal skills. Are you able to self-motivate yourself? And so analyze all of this in that reflection mode. So let's define remote work. It means many things. I think people are not aware of that. So work from home is essentially 100% working from home. Telecommuting and hybrid, these are positions where you might be in the office for a couple of days, working from home a couple of days, and back and forth. So when you're doing your job search, you need to, be aware that if it says remote, it might not technically mean 100% or work from home 100%. So you need to make sure that you really read the fine print to make sure that you don't have to go into the office a couple of days a week or be available for a meeting at the last minute. Remote work is a little different from work from home. So remote work is that, you could be anywhere doing your job. You could go to the coffee shop or the library or, co-working space or even on a beach, so we think that remote work is kind of it means only one thing. But really you're looking for probably work from home, although it might come up as remote. But you need to ask that question in the interview. Do I have, can I go to the coffee shop and work? Can I go to the library? Or do I have to be at home 100% of the time? So if they don't define that, you should probably ask that question. So let's talk about conducting the job search. So as you can see, there's a lot of job search websites out there. And I'm not endorsing any particular search engine, although I will be talking about 6 of them. That's for you to kind of figure out what works best for you. But I kind of went through the pros and the cons of some of the search engines or websites that you could go to that might help you find a remote position. So Flex Jobs, and I'm going to kind of share their website in a moment, but it is it's not free. So with Flex Jobs, you do have to pay a fee. But the pro is that they kind of pat themselves on the backs that they do a good job of finding the positions for you and making sure they're not scams, that making sure that, it is a remote position. Employers don't pay to post. So I'm gonna show you their website. So hold on one second while I look for their positions. Hold on. So this is Flex Jobs. I hope you could see it. And they, like I said, they pride themselves of vetting every single job, so you don't have to. They do all the research to make sure that they have remote and flexible work options. They evaluate the job title, location, career field to make sure it's a job match for you. And the other thing about this, which they have these really great articles too, and you don't have to pay for those, but it is a pretty nifty website to go to kind of read some of the articles. They have articles here on how to 8 work from home jobs for retirees and work productivity and employment news. And so it's really actually a pretty neat website. So if you have the extra money and you want to invest into it, I don't know what it looks like on the inside, if it takes you right to the employer website to apply, or if you apply or you download your resume to Flex Jobs and they send it to the employer. I'm not sure how that works. I wasn't able to access that information. So this is one website. Another one is, can you see the Muse on here? The Muse is another kind of nifty website where you can I'm going to put in like human resources, and I'm going to search positions. These are all remote positions. And the good thing about this website is that when you apply, it takes you right to the employer website to apply. As you can see right here, I've gone to that employer website. So um, and it's kind of and it is free. You don't have to pay for this. And all of the positions are remote. As you could see, you could, and a lot of the filters on these positions too, you always want, when you're filtering um, on these job search websites, you always want to probably check out the last 7 days because you want something that's fresh. So be careful. There's other filters, you could go, of course, according to job category, um, entry level, the different levels, like here's middle level, radius. So you could filter it how you want to. They also do have good articles too. Advice. So here are all of the articles that they offer, which these look like really great articles. I was reading some of them yesterday. How to interview, or how the interview question, what are your interests, how do you answer that? So they really have some really good articles here. Let me open one for you. You've left a toxic job. See, so it is free. You can read it. So it's another really great website. Another one is Skip the Driver. So this one, they are remote positions. Some of the positions will take you to the employer website. Some of the positions will take you to another job search engine. Like one of the positions I had clicked on took me to Indeed. So they kind of, this is free to, it doesn't have a lot of articles, but it's free. It's another resource for you. I'm going to open up one, customer service remote, and then if you're interested, you apply for this position, and this will take you to the employer website. So you can apply for the job at their website. It looks pretty easy. There are questions to answer, like what are your core values? We were just talking about that. So these are, if you have already done your research and you've done that reflection time that we talked about, you'll already have the answers to some of these questions. What is your monthly salary expectation in US dollars? So here's one they're asking about your salary. So, there's all kinds of opportunities here. Let me find another one that I was looking at, remote.com. Now this is owned by JobFlex. It is a free website. What was interesting, I think, about this question or this website is that they talk to the employers, like remote company Q&A. So they ask the employer, why remote? You're hiring remotely, you're managing, working remotely. So why remote? So this is the question. And this is what the company's response was to that question. Working remotely, why do you implement a remote policy? So if you are wanting to work at one of these or for one of these employers, you have a response to some of their questions that you could actually kind of interject into your conversation with them. Some of them aren't well-known employers, so I think they have a list somewhere on here of all of the companies. Oh, here. So here are some of the companies that they have talked to, like American Express. So here, they ask them, why does your remote friendly company do? you know, why did you switch? Um, so when you're, and we're going to talk a little bit about questions to ask in the interview in a moment. But anyways, it's really great, great information. Let me go back to my PowerPoint presentation. So we were talking, we were here. So remote con, you know, there's no very few well-known employers, and again, they're owned by FlexJob, but it is free. Indeed, whoops. So Indeed is actually a really good website to use. And there is now a remote filter on there, so only remote positions will come on. So you have to be careful with the filters on Indeed. Another con is that if you are registered with them and you have a profile, you don't have availability for multiple resumes. So if you are doing a job search on healthcare, then you would put up a resume, excuse me, that focused on healthcare industry. And maybe you want to change your search to maybe focus only on customer service, but you've never done customer service in healthcare. You know, then you would have to take that down and put it up. And so it gets tiresome having to take one resume down, put it up, another one, and you're forced to register. I've been helping a lot of people on Indeed lately, and in the past, you were able to bypass sending, you know, a resume directly to the employer. You could just kind of go, it will take you to the employer website, but it's really forcing people to register. So if you know the employer's website, go to the website and apply, because eventually you're going to have to do that anyway. So just, you know, dodge the bullet or bite the bullet and go right to the company website and apply there if you have the name. The pro, of course, it's free. Employers are paying for the service, so there's less scams on there, less commission kind of positions on Indeed. And so, you know, whereas like career builders, you know, that kind of, for some reason, attracts a lot of con artists, a lot of scammers, a lot of commission positions, and they are very bold. They pretty much tell you they sell your information. I know when I was applying for jobs about 7 years ago, before I worked for Goodwill, I was using career builders and I saw a position and I went to apply for it. And, you know, it asked the question, do you want to go back to school? And it's like, yeah, eventually. Well, as soon as I hit submit on that, because it forces you to, you know, kind of answer it, I was getting calls immediately from a call center about, you know, what school I was looking at, how was I going to get funding. So, you know, I would stay away from career builders, but you know, you can do what you want, of course. But Indeed is actually a pretty good website to use. We talked about Skip the Drive. It's mostly freelance. It's free, easy to apply. Some positions, I said, as I mentioned before, take it to Indeed. The Muse, I kind of like the Muse. I couldn't really find any cons on that. It is free to the users, free articles that were really great. Usually when you're applying, you'll be directed to that employer website, so you don't have to search for the website. And then, of course, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, if you're in an active job search, you really need to be using LinkedIn. There are great positions on there. Recruiters are looking for people, but you have to be really careful on LinkedIn because it is a professional website. You need to have a professional picture, and I think Addison is going to be offering free headshots. That's where you could really sell yourself well. You could download your resume, If you've done presentations, you could post them there. You could get endorsements. Endorsements are really important on LinkedIn because it's a witness to your behavior. It's kind of a testimony of your work performance, and you get people you've worked with. It could even be customers to, kind of testify to, yeah, I've worked with this person and they were helpful, and, whatever great thing they want to say about you. So you really need to be using LinkedIn. Like I said, if recruiters are actually looking for people on LinkedIn, you do have to make it public, because you want job seek or the recruiters to have access to your profile to kind of read about your great skills and your endorsement. So some people are reluctant to make their profile public. But if you're in an active job search, you really should. So does anybody have any questions about any of these websites? Okay. Identifying bad actors. So you do have to be careful of scam artists out there. And how do you do that? So one thing is pay attention to the email domain. If you're getting an email and the domain is a Gmail or a Yahoo, you need to be really careful. It should come from a company domain. So really pay attention to that. Look at the email address. And if they are, they shouldn't be using their personal email. If they say, well, it's just my personal email, you should ask them to please correspond with you from the company email. Anyone that's looking for upfront payments for processing or training, you don't want to have to pay for training or processing. Using fake URL. So again, pay attention to the company website. They could be manipulated really, really easy. So for example, in companies, their logos are kind of are public, and people could cut and paste that and put that on their website. So pay attention to like the company name. One scam would be, maybe there'd be a dash in the name or misspelled, but if you're not paying attention, you don't notice that. So you really need to go to the company website and verify that it is a true company. Lacking verifiable information. You may have thought you found your dream job, but upon further inspection, you can't find any information about the company. If you can't verify a phone number, location, website, employees on LinkedIn, it's probably a scam. So be very cautious, especially if they ask for your social security number. Do not give your social security number out. I am noticing that a lot of employers are asking for that on the application, and they won't let you proceed unless you offer it, which doesn't make sense to me. They shouldn't even be asking that information. It's up to you if you want to provide it, but if they're pushing for social security information, it might be a scam. But again, there are some employers that ask for it right away, especially like staffing agencies, because they want to get that W-2 and I-9 going right away, because they might be able to get you a job or offer you a position, and you could start the next day. So they need to verify that. But really, that's on you if you want to provide a social security number. See something in the chat. Oh, okay. Other kind of scams out there, the ad uses words that are probably too good to be true, like quick money, unlimited earning potential, free for work from home. Those are kind of red flags on something that might be a scam. Nothing is too good to be true. there's a sense of urgency. The recruiter is pushing you to accept the job. Most companies, I mean, they kind of, it's a process. It'll take about a month. They might be interviewing other people. They haven't made a decision. Um, and if they give you a job offer, you might have to give a 2 weeks notice to another, to your employer. So if there's this push, this urgency to get started right away, be very careful. Even if it is a legitimate company, it might be, it's a revolving door and they've got to fill positions right away. I was just, yesterday I heard on NPR that in 1 week in November, Amazon hired 40,000 people. 40,000 people were hired at Amazon in 1 week. And there's many reasons why, because they're opening up, new warehouses. It is, seasonal employees, but they do have a reputation for being a revolving door. It's a hard job. They are making it easier for you to start with them. They'll hire anybody. So if there's this urgency, it might be a revolving door, and it might be good money, but are you going to be successful there? So it's something to think about. The job post or email has obvious errors and, spelling errors. A lot of companies are really careful on their website to make sure that it's error-free, of grammatical errors and punctuation errors. So, if it looks sloppy, it might be a scam. You're offered the job without a recruiter verifying your work experience or asking for references. A lot of employers, they want references. They need somebody to, give a testimonial about your work history and your work ethic. And the job's description is usually vague. You need more information about that position. You don't want to start a position and it's not what you applied for. So these are some of the red flags to look at when you are doing, a job search, and, definitely remote kind of positions that you're looking for. So basically do your homework, research the company and the people that contact you, go to that company website and make sure it isn't a scam, connect with the company, go, if you could find somebody on LinkedIn, you could even, again, LinkedIn is a great resource. It's a networking opportunity for you. Trust your gut. If it feels like it's a scam, it probably is a scam. So what you really need to do though is identify 15 to 20 employers that you want to work for and search their website. And in the location box, type remote or work from home. Employers are now offering, a simple search on their website for remote and work from home opportunities. So go to that employer website. Some employers are not marketing positions as remote because they don't want to attract people focused on, working from home. They want the focus to be the position and the job, and they want to see passion. So they might just offer that, in the conversation with them. And in some situations, employers think working from home might hinder your career. And there's a lot of talk about, people there are looking for opportunities for growth. You lose that personal connection with somebody when you're not working with them 8 hours in an office. They really don't get to see your personality. And, there's none of that water cooler talk where you could sit down and maybe have a conversation about a problem that has to be solved. That body language is lost too. And so there's a lot of concern about, what does it look like for people that want to climb that corporate ladder, and they lose that connection with a manager that could help them, further their career. You know, I'm reflecting on, when Steve Jobs was designing um, it, the home office or the campus, Apple campus, he designed it so that there was opportunities for collaboration. And that's why a lot of these Fortune 500 companies or Silicon Valley companies, they have, the cleaners and the gym on their campus, so that there's opportunities for you to, talk to somebody, or maybe even overhear a conversation about a project that somebody's working on that might give you, aha moment of, I didn't think of that, that happens a lot in those kinds of environments. So employers, are you working from home, is this going to hinder your ability to further your career? So it's just, something to think about. The interview, what are some of the questions that you should ask in the interview about remote opportunities? So one question that you could ask in the interview is, how do you measure the productivity of remote workers? It might be a little different. Definitely employers are watching you. So are they, how are they watching you on the computer that they've issued to you? But how is the performance measured? Do you have to use your own device? What is your BYOD policy? Is, bring your own device. Can you use your own laptop, or is it company issued? And what are they issuing? Just a laptop? Are they going to issue a phone? So what are they issuing to you? And, do your remote team members meet in person sometimes? Is there an opportunity to actually meet the team? Or, are there maybe happy hours on Fridays where everybody gets together remotely just to kind of chat? Some team building opportunities for the team. And do you have remote communication protocols for your remote workers? Do you have to, some employers, they have like the phone connected to their device or to their laptop. So do you always have to answer it? Again, it's, how are you being watched? So let's talk a little bit about what the interview looks like. Again, you need to show the employer that you're tech savvy. So make sure that you've tested your technology and that there's no errors in the interview. And yes, it's, internet connections come down, but you're not frazzled by anything that's going to happen. Also, practice the interview questions. It's really important that you take time to practice how you're going to answer questions. Questions need to be answered in less than 2 minutes. So if you are the kind of person that's nervous in interviews, make sure that you take time to practice the interview question. Choose your location. This is really important because you're inviting them into your home and they kind of want to see your home environment or your home office. So make sure that there's no distractions in the background. There's no noise, that they are focused on you, especially if you're applying for a position where you're going to be talking to customers or VIPs from your home office, that it's appropriate. Make sure that the lighting is appropriate. Make sure that people in your household know not to disturb you. And it's really, again, make sure behind you, what's behind you is nothing that's going to be a distraction. No posters, maybe not even a bookshelf, just kind of a wall behind you, or maybe curtains or something. And then gather your material. It's okay to, have a notepad and a pen and to ask questions and to write down, what they're saying. Have your resume at hand, and have questions. Again, it's really important to ask questions, especially about working from home and how your performance is measured, communication, and how you can opportunities to meet with the team. So basically, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions?